Monday, the weekend, of course, of college football evidence. J.J. Joe joins us on Mondays at 4:45. J.J., let's start with something other than Baylor, Texas, and also what we saw against Long Island, because I think you probably want to forget that too, as long as it was with the delay. But when you look at what we're seeing in college football, and I know there are still maybe a handful of elite teams, do you think that college football is more susceptible to upsets now than ever before? And if so, why?
Smoak, good to see it. Good to talk to you guys. I really think it is. I think you're seeing maybe the impact of, a little NIL stuff. I think talent is now being kind of distributed a little bit more evenly. Now, don't get me wrong that, the SEC and they're going to have a lot of the talent, but a lot of that is, I think, Smoak, due to kind of where they are. I mean, you just got a lot of talent in the southeastern part of the United States. So, but I think you do. I mean, I think you have a situation where we had upsets before. We used to see in Michigan and Appalachian State or whatnot. But I think now you will continue to see the field leveled a little bit. And I think there's really not a dominant team this year now that we've kind of been through 3 weeks. Georgia's even susceptible. So I think we'll continue to see this.
JJ, they were kind of uninspired in the first half. I mean, they were somewhat in control. They got the win, and that's the most important thing to finally end the losing streak. But I don't think we learned very much about them this week, did we?
Nah, this is one of those games. It's an FCS team coming in, and you kind of figured really it's what I would call it's about us game. It's a game where you're focused on just trying to offensively, Sawyer's second start. Can we get that completion percentage up? We didn't get there. Can we be a little bit more crisp on offense? It looked like we were getting there. We were up 16-0. And then we had the ball. We're driving. And, then we turned it over on downs at midfield, and all of a sudden it's a 16-7 game. So defensively, we gave up, 180 yards? So, you weren't going to learn much defensively because you should dominate. But I think I was a little disappointed offensively. I thought, I think very little that we did on Saturday will translate to this weekend.
So Sawyer Robertson clearly appears to be a bit banged up still. JJ, how much do you think that played into the passing game? And just, the running game was great. Like you said, that you don't know how much that translates against a very, a good Texas defense, but what do you do about the passing game, and how much do you put that on the injury to the ankle of Sawyer Robertson?
Yeah, you can kind of tell he's not, the difference between Sawyer against Utah and I think Long Island, it's like he's half the player to me. Because against Utah, I thought he was, even though his completion percentage was not way up, he was confident because I think he had the availability of his feet and he had the availability of his arms. So he would go 1-2, not there, I'm running. Or he even had the zone, the quarterback planned runs. So I think, that just provides a young player with confidence. When all of a sudden, a good part of your game is taken away because he's decent, he's a pretty decent athlete. Then all of a sudden you got to rely on the drop back game, which he's not. He was very good in high school in the drop back spread game, but he's learning. So I think it impacted his confidence. He wasn't sure. You could see some of the throws. He was a little either late or hesitant. And I'm hoping that another week will help that ankle get, I'm not saying it would be 100%, but maybe closer to 80, 85%.
JJ, you've seen Texas, or I'm not sure exactly how often, but they played Alabama, of course, a couple of weeks ago. They have a handful, if maybe more, dynamic playmakers, a quarterback who can throw it really, really well, a defense that seems like they have a little bit more grit to them. What would you do if you were Dave Aranda, Jeff Grimes, and also Matthew Pallage?
It's a tough one. Smoak. And the thing that you haven't mentioned is like they have an elite play caller. Sark. We may think another way about his head coach ability. I think he's grown and learned a lot from being with Saban. But offensively, that dude's a genius. He knows. There's different coordinators to me. There's some guys who have great scheme. He has great scheme. Grimes has great scheme. But then there's play callers who also have the ability to say, I got to get the ball to this guy, these guys, and I'm going to do it to them these ways. And they communicate it to the players. The players know They rep it, and you can see the confidence in the players. And so he's pretty darn good at that. And that's what concerns me a little bit, because we sometimes we showed some weakness on the edge against Texas State. We've also seen that we'll let a run pop. And Sark is, if we do what we did against Texas State, Sark will put a 50 spot on us easy in the first half, because he will isolate and attack. So, man, I tell you what I would do. Really, I would. We have to try to run the ball, but Sawyer has to. Hopefully, I think the way that he has to be able to get that completion percentage up. Coach Grimes has to schedule in some easy completions for him. Easy ones. It's almost like one read, boom. It's like a guide motion, boom. Just get a guy completions, because for a young player like him, if you can just get them 4, 5, 6 completions, they're a totally different player. And I think, doing some really quick stuff, easy completions early, and then hopefully trying to get Richard Reese into the game a little early. And defensively, I would bend no break, man. You can't let Xavier run by you. So it's going to be a tough go on Saturday.
JJ, how do you balance what's going to be a lot of emotions about it's Texas, it's the last time, channeling that into being fired up about playing Texas, and then getting to where it gets to the tipping point and you've got too many emotional eggs in that basket?
Yeah. I mean, energy. If energy is a challenge this week, then I don't know. I don't think anybody knows what the issue is, because Texas last time we'll probably play them in a very long time. If ever at all, and it's a conference game. They're leaving the conference, all that stuff. The fans are into it, so it'll be a bunch of gas out there. So I don't think energy will be a problem. The problem will be like, which maybe we saw at Colorado State. Guys staying disciplined, guys staying calm, guys not going overboard, too much talking. You don't need to do all that. So it'll have to be. I think Coach Aranda does a good job at managing emotions. But really, it's going to boil down to execution, though, because I think ultimately they can take the little fight out of you real quick if all of a sudden, boom, they score. You look, it's 10-0, and you got a very good feel early on, right? That we can't play with these guys. I don't think that's the case, but you got to be prepared.
JJ, in general, what did you think of Dawson Pendergrass? I know you said that a lot of the running stuff is not going to necessarily translate to Texas, but just getting a full look at him, what were your thoughts on his game?
I like Dawson. I mean, he has a place here. That's the reason they gave him a scholarship. The young man, you don't see too many Caucasian running backs, but that dude knows how to find the hole. He's his weight. They said 212. I figured this guy has to be a little bit bigger than 212, but he does a great job of finding the crease, sliding over, and that's odd for a bigger guy, a bigger back. But he does a great job at that. He's physical. He usually is able to fight through a tackle or two, and you need that. That is very necessary. Now, next week we're going against defensive linemen that are 15 times better than the ones we saw on Saturday, and then their linebackers will be bigger and faster. So those holes that Pendergrass saw on Saturday will close much quicker, right? And it'll be a bigger, stronger dude filling that hole. So that's why I'm saying I think Coach, while it worked, Coach has to be very cognizant that, hey, look, this is a different animal we're facing, and the question is, how do we attack?
I mean, you're not ready for 3 yards in a cloud of dust to come back, right? If it works, right? Keep the ball away and hope for the best.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, if it works, but I saw him play Alabama on TV live, and Alabama with 5-star linemen and probably 5-star running backs. Couldn't run it when they were jacked, right? When they were kids. And I think Texas will be jacked. People say, well, Texas coming to a 1-2, but why would they be jacked? Because they just struggled last week. So the coaches are in them this week. They're in them because they struggled against Wyoming. So they're going to have all gas. They're going to be ready to go to start conference. And this is kind of what he said. The most important thing for them is to win the conference. Well, this is the first step. So they'll have all gas. We won't see the secondary version of Texas this week.
JJ, your freshman year, did you beat them, Texas, when you were a freshman at Baylor? Was you?
Well, I did not play. I was redshirt that year, but we did. We beat them pretty good, but I did not play that year, Smoak.
All right. What was your most memorable, historic reference playing against them at Baylor?
Texas they always had great talent. We won. I think I played him in 90. Well, and I was hurt that game. I actually redshirted in 89. I got hurt after about 4 starts and then missed the Texas game. We lost. They had a really good team. They went to the Cotton Bowl. 91, we won. We had a pretty good team. We beat them in Austin. That was a pretty good year. We had a good team. It kind of faltered late, but we beat UT. 92, we beat them here. That was Grant Taft's last game in Waco. We got a couple pretty good calls, so it went our way. But then my last year, we lost to them in Austin. So I would say that 91, 92 games were the best memories.
Thank you, JJ. Appreciate it. We'll see you Saturday, 6:30. Kickoff just after 6:30. ABC, Baylor, and Texas at McLean Stadium. Texas paid Wyoming